Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. Well, today I'm going to do something just a little bit different. I'm going to cover off on a few things about a particular item that a few people have actually commented about. And it's this little alarm clock, this vintage alarm clock that is behind me here. This is an alarm clock that was made in around 1945 or 1946. It is by the Westclox company called the Big Ben alarm clock. And I really wanted to show it off today because not only is it an interesting looking thing and an interesting thing to own, and not only have people commented on it, but I think it's one of the best mechanical sort of vintage clocks you can buy at the best price. This one here I picked up for 25 Australian dollars. And that's not a lot of money for something so interesting, something so vintage, and something so quality. And if it's not the particular one you like, well, they've made a whole range of alarm clocks over the years. There's other companies that have made very similar things as well, and they all range around this sort of 20 to 30 Australian dollars. What I do want to say before I forget though, if you are looking at buying one of these, be aware that you do not want to be getting it serviced or restored because the cost of restoring one of these heavily outweighs the cost of it. You are going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars and it's just not worth it. So either buy one at the 20 or 30 Australian dollars just as an interesting thing on your shelf, or particularly try and look for one that actually works well. Now this specific brand, Westclox, has made these alarm clocks since 1909 and they continue to make them through to today. They've had 10 variations in that time and this is variation number 5. And when it was first sold, it was $2.95 US dollars. And now with inflation, I did a little calculation online, it would cost nowadays about 45 American dollars. So I didn't just buy this clock just to stick in my background. I bought it well before I started this channel, and I bought it because it was certainly budget friendly, it was certainly interesting, it is vintage, it was produced in an interesting time period around that 1945, 1946 times, and I do like mechanical things, I do like vintage things, and obviously I like watches and clocks, so what better could you buy at such a budget friendly amount than one of these. Now, I'm going to flip the camera around. I'm going to show you some features about it. It's quite an interesting clock. I'm not going to spend too long on it, but before I flip the camera around now, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I'd absolutely love it if you just click on that subscribe button. All right, let's flip the camera around now and let's check it out. Let's check it out, shall we? The thing that we do notice about it is actually quite a big, substantial thing, and it has a lot of weight to it. The dial itself is 100 millimeters, so about 10 centimeters. The thickness of it is quite substantial. It's 60 millimeters, 6 centimeters. So, there's a lot of mechanical parts in there. So it really does need a little bit of extra width. Has skeletonized hands. I'm sure they would have been blued at some stage, but they're sort of a bit worn out now. Now, this does look like a little sub-second register, but it's not. That's actually the alarm. So you sort of set your alarm on that particular dial there. As you can see, it was made by Western Clock Company Limited, Peterborough in Canada. Yes, Canada. Sorry about the bad accent there. Has a real sort of vintage vibe to it, obviously. I think it has a bit of a sort of almost Art Deco sort of feel to it. On the back, we've got a whole heap of functions here. We just have a nice little simple hanger. Apparently it was something that you could hang up at the time. I'm not sure why you would, but it's that option. This is to wind up the clock itself. This is to wind up the alarm. This is to adjust the alarm little hand. This is to adjust the whole hands themselves. You pull this one out and put it back in again to turn the alarm on and off. And then we have an adjustment of the time, so we can make it either faster or slower. So let's have a quick look at some of those features. So let's try the little alarm hand. So there we go. So we're changing what time the alarm is set for. Or we just leave it at 12 because it's nice and neat and tidy. And changing the time, obviously we can move back and forth. And of course, I always leave it at 10 past 10 because that is the magical time, isn't it? So it's Canadian made, designed in Great Britain, sold in Australia. That's very interesting, isn't it? Now, you may ask, why do I just keep this in my background in my sort of YouTube videos? Why am I not using this clock? Does it not work? Well, I have to say it works very, very well. It's amazing how well it keeps time. It keeps time absolutely perfectly. And on a full charge, it runs for about 3 to 4 days. So it actually holds a fair amount of charge to it. You'd only have to wind up once or twice a week to keep it going. And when I bought this, I was thinking this would be great to actually use as my clock in my sort of main living area. And then I did so for a short amount of time until I realized fairly quickly, and my wife certainly told me, this thing is very, very loud. I don't think it's just because of the age. I think it's just this sort of technology is very loud when it ticks, and it's so loud that I just couldn't have it in my living area. It was just ticking, 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 and it was like, wow, that's way too loud. I'm going to transform this from a actively used clock to just something that's nice and easy to fit in the background, and I use it in, obviously, my YouTube videos. Does the alarm feature work? Yes, it works very, very well. But I'm guessing back in the 40s when somebody bought this, they bought it to be an alarm clock, to have next to the bed so they can set their alarm so they get up in time for work or for school or whoever happened to buy this particular clock. However, I'm not really sure how they possibly slept when this thing was ticking as loud as it does. So what I'm going to do now for you guys, I'm going to wind it up, I'm going to show you that nice loud ticking, and I'm going to activate the alarm as well so you can hear that alarm feature. It is then going to be ticking nice and loud, so I'm going to say right now, before that large ticking noise starts, that I really do appreciate you watching the channel. I really appreciate you watching this video, and after I've had it ticking for a little while, I'll cut the video off, and I hope to see you in the next video. So, as I said, it is going to be loud, so let's check this out, shall we? So we wind up the time. We can also wind up the alarm, give that a little bit of time, and it ticks and ticks and ticks and ticks. Now, I'm not sure how loud that is coming through on the videos, but it is certainly quite loud. So what I'm going to do now, I've wound up the alarm, I've set the time, I'm going to pull it out just to activate the alarm so you can hear what it sounds like. Nice and loud, almost it sounds like a bit of a school bell, doesn't it? So I now can't turn that ticking off. As I mentioned, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.